The interim national government is hereby dissolved. The national and state assemblies are also dissolved.
How one man stole a nation. The Sani Abacha loot, the rise, the power, and the setup. Let's go back to the beginning. Before the billions, before the headlines, before the loot became legend. In 1943, in the dusty northern city of Kano, a boy named Sani Abacha was born into a modest family. No one could have guessed that this quiet, reserved child would grow up to become the most feared and most corrupt ruler in Nigeria's history. Unlike other political leaders who rose through charm or public appeal, Abacha's rise came through silence, calculation, and strategy. He didn't smile for cameras, he didn't inspire speeches, he moved in the shadows. By the 20s, 960s, Nigeria was a nation on edge. Military coups were replacing governments faster than anyone could keep up. But Sani Abacha, the young, low-profile soldier, kept climbing, one rank at a time. By 1983, he played a key role in the coup that brought Muhammadu Buhari to power. By 1985, he backed the coup that overthrew Buhari and installed Ibrahim Babangida. And in 1990, when an attempted coup threatened Babangida's regime, it was Abacha who crushed it, earning himself even more power. By now, the man had a reputation. Quiet, brutal, efficient, dangerous. When Nigeria held its most historic election in 1993, widely believed to have been won by businessman Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, everything seemed set for a democratic future. But then, the military annulled the results. Protests broke out. Tension filled the air, and once again, Abacha was ready. He took power on November 17, 1993, not through a vote, not through reform, but through a televised address in full military gear. Calm, cold, absolute. From that moment on, Nigeria was under lockdown, politically, economically, and morally. Abacha wasted no time. He dissolved democratic institutions, he banned political activity, he arrested critics, crushed opposition, and censored the press. But behind the scenes, a much darker operation had already begun. While the world saw a strongman leader securing order in a troubled country, Abacha was quietly building something far more profitable, a network designed to drain Nigeria's wealth and move it across the globe. And he wasn't doing it alone. Enter Ismaila Gwarzo, Abacha's national security advisor. Together, they created one of the simplest yet most devastating systems of state posthumous theft the world has ever seen. Here's how it worked. Gwarzo would draft a letter, often just a few sentences, warning of some vague national security threat. He'd then request urgent funds to deal with the crisis. These letters would go directly to Abacha, who would approve them immediately. No questions, no oversight. The Central Bank of Nigeria, believing it was following presidential orders, would then release millions of dollars, often in cash, to Gwarzo and his network. That money would then disappear, laundered through shell companies, moved to offshore accounts, or flown out of the country in suitcases. Simple, silent, devastating. The system was so airtight that by the time someone realized what had happened, the money was already long gone, sitting in a vault in Switzerland or a bank in Luxembourg. And what made it worse? Abacha did it over and over and over again. Between 1993 and 1998, this system was repeated dozens of times, with individual transactions ranging from $10 million, 0 cents, to $300 million, 0 cents. At one point, a single bank transfer from the Nigerian treasury to a fake company abroad involved $252 million, 0 cents, in one move. And the Nigerian people, they had no idea. To the public, Abacha was presenting himself as a patriot, fixing the economy, restoring security, strengthening the naira. But behind the scenes, the country was bleeding. Quietly, daily, systematically. The man had turned the Nigerian treasury into a personal slush fund. And the scariest part, it worked. Abacha didn't just steal money, he rewrote the rules of what was possible. He proved that a man in power could plunder a nation, not in chaos, but in total order. Not in crisis, but in silence. This wasn't a robbery, this was policy. This wasn't hidden, it was structured. And every time someone spoke up, a journalist, a politician, a protester, they were silenced. Sometimes with prison.
Nigeria
Sometimes
is the only country we have. We must therefore solve our problems ourselves. We have come to the point when the situation can no longer be tolerated. It is in the overall national interest that these unpatriotic acts being perpetuated by the leadership of Nupeng and Pangasing be dealt with decisively. Accordingly, the executive of both unions, the Nupeng and the Pangasing, at both national and state levels are hereby dissolved. This action is with immediate effect.
by 1995, Nigeria was a full-blown dictatorship, run by fear, protected by propaganda, and fueled by a financial pipeline that sent Nigeria's wealth straight out of the country. But as the money piled up abroad in Swiss accounts, London real estate, Dubai gold vaults, the questions started to mount. How much was being stolen? Where was it going? And could anyone stop it? That is where the story of the loot really begins. Abacha was tightening his grip on power. He executed activists, silenced journalists, jailed opponents, and ruled through intimidation. The most high-profile case? The execution of Ken Saro-Wiwa, a writer and environmental activist who criticized the government and oil companies for polluting the Niger Delta. Despite international pleas, Abacha went ahead with the execution in 1995, sending a chilling message: speak up, and you're gone. From that moment on, the fear was palpable. No one questioned Abacha openly, not in the press, not in parliament, not in public. He was the system. He controlled the press, the courts, the army, the banks. There was no opposition, only survival. But cracks were starting to show. By 1997, rumors of tension within the inner circle had begun to leak. Abacha, once seen as unshakable, was now being watched by foreign governments, media, and financial watchdogs. International intelligence agencies were building cases. Switzerland had started freezing suspicious accounts. The US was gathering evidence of corruption and human rights abuses. Behind the scenes, deals were being investigated, names were being listed, and then, just as the world prepared for a confrontation with Nigeria's most feared man, he vanished. On June 8, 1998, Sani Abacha died suddenly in the presidential villa in Abuja. The official report said heart attack, but rumors exploded across the country. Some claimed he was poisoned. Others said he died in the company of Indian escorts. Some blamed supernatural forces. No autopsy was ever released. And just like that, the architect of Nigeria's darkest economic theft was gone. Without trial, without confession, without justice. But his death wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. Within days of his passing, government officials began to speak, accounts were exposed, documents surfaced, witnesses came forward, and the world began to see the full scale of the plunder. Over $5 billion, 0 cents looted. Multiple countries involved, banks, politicians, and business elites, all connected. The truth was no longer a rumor. It was a spread paper trail, a global scandal. And as Nigeria scrambled to recover what it could, the world watched in disbelief.
If you found this story eye-opening, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to see it, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And most importantly, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive like this from Money and Mayhem.
Parliament is hereby dissolved. The National and State Assemblies are also dissolved. The State Executive Councils are dissolved. The brigade commanders are to take over from the governors in their states until administrators are appointed. All local governments stand dissolved. The directors of personnel are to take over the administration of the local governments until administrators are appointed. The National Electoral Commission is hereby dissolved. The two political parties are hereby dissolved. All processions, political meetings, and associations of any type in any part of the country are hereby banned. Any consultative committee, by whatever name called, is hereby proscribed. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must therefore solve our problems ourselves.
Don't forget to hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to see it, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And most importantly, subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a deep dive like this from Money and Mayhem.